Hi everybody out there, Keith Tanner here from Flyin Miata, and today we're going to talk about Pepper. Pepper's one of our development cars. I'm going to give you a little update. We've shown you this car since we got it new, since it was new to us. So I'm going to give you a little update on what it's been up to, what we've been doing with it, what we're doing in the future. Pepper's a 1991 Miata that was actually fully featured, fully optioned at the factory. It had air conditioning. It may not have had the optional CD player. There's no sign of it now. It had ABS, which was a very rare option at the time. I can't recall if it has a viscous limited slip, but it was actually a pretty high-end model. Obviously, it had the hardtop. A very good little car for us to use as a basis for testing because it has all those extra parts, such as the ABS, which is a rare thing to find on an NA6 like this one. I'll give you a little history. We purchased this car to use as a development car because, well, we have lots of other development cars for other generations, and even the later 1.8 NAs, we didn't have a specific NA6 development car that we could use for things like forced induction testing. And there's enough differences in the drivetrain, we wanted to have one specifically. So we sought this car out. It was actually owned by one of our customers, it turns out, who was, I understand, quite happy to hear that it was going on to its second life as an FN development car. And we've been using it to test some things and work our way through, and that's what we're going to talk about. If you are watching this live, please make sure to put any questions in the comments. I will do my best to answer those. If you're watching this in future, put your questions in the comments, and we will do our best to answer them in the comments because we do read every single one of them, even if you're watching this well in the future. Also, if you do enjoy this sort of content, make sure to subscribe to our channel and make sure you like the video. That will help it spread to other people, will help other people see the same stuff. Doesn't cost you a penny. Everybody wins. So, Pepper. This is the second update we've done on this car. We did one when we first got it. We did one after we had turbocharged the car because the reason we originally bought it was to confirm some things, to test some things on our 1.6 turbo systems. And so now it's entering the next phase of its life. We've done that testing. We've found the results we needed to do. We found we've developed what we need to develop for that. So now it's moving on to the next stage, which is to make it into a hardened, solid platform that we can use for testing and not have to worry about other things that we are not testing. It's always important to us when you're out at the track, for example, you're trying to test something on the turbo system, that you don't have overheating problems, because then you're not testing the turbo system, you're testing the cooling system. And vice versa, if you're trying to test the cooling system, you don't want to have an enormous amount of cooling capability. You also don't have to worry, don't want to worry about something happening in the engine, or the engine not being able to produce enough heat to really tax the turbo system, et cetera, the cooling system. So one of the things we do with all of our development cars is we harden them. We try to make sure to take out as many weak points as possible so that we can focus on just the one thing that we're trying to do. So I'll show you what we've been doing to little Pepper here. It's not a whole lot to look at, not very visual. But we have obviously not installed our hydraulic hood lifts on it yet. We concentrated first on the cooling system. We've installed one of our cross-flow radiators. We've installed one of our stage 2 brushless fans. And this was also a request at some of the R&D department to make sure these parts worked well with things like the unique position of the 1.6 front sway bar. And also we're running this with a stock ECU, so we have the fan brain, as we call it in here, that runs the brushless motor. And this has one of our coolant reroutes with the new formed hose that are just coming online now. So 3D printed brackets to hold it in place, a nice formed hose that clears all the various throttle bodies. So this is being used for final product verification for testing to make sure that stuff actually fits. And of course, putting the stuff on so that when we do take it to the track, we don't have to think about the cooling system. You may have seen on our channel, was it a week and a half ago, I suppose? We had a product familiarization day at Grand Junction Motor Speedway. We had this car at the track along with 6 others. And the purpose of that was to get our customer service team familiar with as many of our products as possible, because nothing beats hand-on experience. We have them do some of the install work on the car to make sure they've got that experience, but also we wanted to make sure that they had the car on the track so they could feel what the suspension feels like, what the various changes feel like, what a 1.6 turbo feels like compared to a 1.8 turbo, compared to, say, the NC one that's coming out soon. And so one of the purposes for hardening the cooling system was because we knew it was woefully undercooled with the turbo system and the stock radiator. We threw the turbo system on to get to our minimum viable level that we needed to test what we needed to test. We knew it was weak in cooling. Now we're moving past that point, so we were able to take it to the track on a warm Colorado morning and be able to just hammer this thing around and not have to worry about the cooling system. Another thing we were testing as part of that was the suspension. This car came to us with Flyin Miata sway bars. Thank you, previous owner. But we also installed our V-Maxx track pack, the V-Maxx Extreme track pack, which is an affordable track-capable coilover suspension. You can't really see much by looking in the wheel there, unfortunately. It's all hidden underneath the wheel wells. But this was a suspension that our customer service team specifically requested so that they could experience that variant of it. You know, a number of them run the V-Maxx Classics on their own cars, or the Extreme Sport, which runs softer spring rates. But they wanted the experience with the track pack so you can talk to our customers knowledgeably about what it feels like by comparison. So this car is set up with the track pack right now. It's set up at a reasonable ride height for that suspension. I think it's running 12 in the front, 12 and a half in the back, if I remember correctly. That's inches measured from the center of the wheel to the top of the fender lip. And that was a significant thing we were testing. You may notice from these close-ups of these nice open wheels with the little tiny brakes inside that we have not addressed the braking system yet. That is coming. We are just determining exactly which specification of brakes we want to put on this thing. We don't necessarily want to put on our biggest, meanest brakes because this car will never tax them to their full potential. So we're talking about which level of braking we're probably going to put on this car. If you have thoughts on that, we'd love to hear them. But that will be coming down next. Will be the next thing to do is the brakes to make sure that's solid, because that's an important thing for us. Along with the other, the cooling mods, we also updated the fuel system. It's got a brand new fuel pump in it. I think we had the injectors cleaned, if I remember correctly. Again, just making sure that we didn't have to spend any time trying to diagnose old car problems. We wanted to make sure that when we were testing something, we were testing very specifically what we came to test. And you may also notice that the car is currently wearing, on this side, is wearing our new satin bronze Kogeki wheels. We did that mostly so we could see what they look like. These are actually off one of the other staff members' cars. We bolted them on so we could get some pictures of this color wheel on this color car, because there are a lot of red Miatas out there, and it's a very good looking wheel. So we will get some pictures of those, even though they are a little dusty. That is the problem with just grabbing parts off a customer car and putting them on a car that works for a living and is actually forced to drive around in real weather. So we apologize for not giving the car a buff and polish and a full shine before this, but this is the nature of development cars as they get used. And also, let's check out what's on the other side. This is a wheel we've actually been we're hoping to add to our product line. They are like wheels, and our friend Joey sent us this set to evaluate. Like wheels are a throwback to, depending on your age, they're either similar in style to the Car Makes Corn CMC3. If you're older like me, you look at them and you say, that looks like the old Alfa Romeo alloy wheels from back in the 60s. Take what you want out of them, but they are a flow-formed wheel. It's a 15 by 8, it's 12 and a half pounds, huge amount of room for brake clearance. It's not everyone's cup of tea in terms of style, but if you like it, you like it. And hey, they're like wheels. It's right there in the name. So we've been quite happy with them as an actual wheel. So it's been good to evaluate these, and we're really hoping to add these to the product line. I think they'll be a different, interesting addition. The one downside they may have is we're a little concerned about brake cooling, but if you're looking for a hardcore track wheel, there are lots of other options that are very open on the market. These are a great looking wheel that you're not going to pay for. You're not going to end up with something extremely heavy, extremely fragile. This is actually a good wheel that also happens to look good. So, do we have any questions over there?
Any upgrades on the ignition system, either now or in the future?
So the question is, are there any upgrades on the ignition system now or in the future? And the answer is no. It's not usually a weak point on these cars given the power level that we're running. I think we may have put new plugs in it, which is, it's an obvious. But it does not need coil-on plugs to do what we need to do with this car. The stock ignition system is perfectly capable of handling the sort of boost levels and the sort of use that this car is doing. So we haven't touched that. We're trying not to just upgrade for the sake of upgrading. We're trying to make sure that we address known weak points in the car. This car is also going to go to work as a show car for Flyin Miata. You will see, if you go to, say, Miatas at the Gap this year, or Flyin Miata Summer Camp, which is coming up in a few months, you will see this car on display there showing off some of our products. It's going to have a couple of little tweaks, a couple more not completely necessary tweaks perhaps done to it to make it a little more eye-catching, because you got to look good to help sell stuff. But you will get a chance to see this car out there. And one of the questions we had was, were we using it to test our new 1.6 exhaust manifold? And the answer to that one is yes. It's had one of our new 1.6, our new design manifolds on there since the start. The 1.6 in particular flows much better than the previous one. It's lighter. And actually some of our testing showed that we were making more power at the same boost level. And we actually had to readjust our recommended boost levels for the stage 1 turbo kit, which is limited by the injector capacity, to make sure we didn't outrun the injectors. So yeah, this is a great manifold, big step ahead. We've had it on the dyno to make sure that things were working the way we expected them to. The car makes the expected power, which at this turbo kit is 150 to 160 at the wheels. Again, that's an injector limitation. The manifold is capable of considerably more, but we did use this to test to make sure that the manifolds were working as expected, and to see what effect they had on the Voodoo box tuning and the general setup. Do we have any more questions, Mike?
What do you like best about this car now that we modified it?
What do I like best about this car? I'm a big fan of the 1.6s. I own a few of them myself. One of them's in the background there. The nice thing about this car is it helps remind us just why we fell in love with these things in the first place. They're so friendly, it's so approachable, it's a great little track car as it sits right now. A little more brake would be good, but get some brakes in there and it's going to be a great little track car that you could also comfortably drive around. I personally love the style of the early cars, especially the early dashboard, and the like wheels were a wheel that I hunted down when I was thinking about interesting wheels for this car. So I particularly like the wheels myself, but that's a very shallow thing. Yes, Mike?
You like the wheels?
I like the wheels, Mike, that's right. The logo is even like a little big thumbs up. It's a cute little thing. So, do we have any more questions going on back there?
When's aero going on?
When's aero going on? This car will not be used for aero testing. That's not its purpose. We have other cars that we use for that, so it's unlikely we're going to put any aero on for functional purposes. It's not going to get a wing, for example. We have wings on a lot of our other cars. We don't need it for this one, but we are going to be making a few aesthetic tweaks to make it stand out a little bit more at shows. I would say that those aesthetics will fit more with the like wheels than they will with the Kokekis in terms of style, shall we say. That'll give you a little hint. But yeah, it's not going to get great big wings and splitters and side skirts and that sort of thing. That's what we have Roller Girl for. She's good for showing that stuff off. Anything else, Mike?
What's the ultimate goal for this car? What are we going to do with it long term?
What is the ultimate goal for the car? The ultimate goal for it is to be dual purpose. One, it is a chance, it'll be a booth babe. It'll be a car designed to get people's attention at shows, but not excessively so. We're not going to build something like the OMG Miata, which is an extremely over-the-top, wild car off Instagram, because this car also has to be functional for testing. If we have to say, okay, we need to test such and such a part, like most of the cars in our fleet here, it has to be capable of jumping on the track, going out, hammering around, doing what it needs to do to test that part, or twisty back roads, or whatever it is we're trying to test. It can't be compromised away from that sort of use. So the long-term goals are basically keep it a very, very functional car so that we can use it for testing things, but also make it attractive. Make it attractive in the literal sense in terms of it attracts people to the booth. Anything else, Mike?
General question about the car. How many miles does it have, and do we expect to need to do any more maintenance or other things to it besides the brakes?
Okay, so the question is how many miles on the car, and honestly, I don't know offhand. The odometer, it's not running its original speedometer at the moment. We're changing some stuff around. And so I can tell you how much mileage is on the gauge cluster, but that's not what's on the chassis. I think it's about 130,000 miles. So we have done a full service, the full expected 100,000 or 120,000 mile service. So all new fluids, timing belt, all the seals in the front of the engine, that sort of thing have been done. The brakes that we're planning on doing are not a maintenance question. It's an upgrade question, because these small 1.6 brakes are not really good enough from the factory to deal with a turbocharged car at a track day, especially not on our little tiny track, which doesn't have a lot of long straights for them to cool down. You're braking, accelerating. So the brake upgrade that we're doing is not so much a maintenance thing. We don't expect, I can't remember, did we rebuild the shifter? I think we might have rebuilt the shifter.
I don't think so.
No, maybe not. we'll address maintenance things as we get through them. As I said, the basic car has been serviced, and we, knowing these cars, knowing how reliable they are, we don't expect to have to do very much once we have got its various systems upgraded to the point that it needs to survive the sort of use it's going to see. Anything else, Mike or Kian? Nope. Okay, well, this will not be the last time you see this car. You will see it, as I said, at the summer camp. You will see it at Miata's at the Gap. Any other shows we go to this year, this car will likely make an appearance. It may have a different appearance, but it will show. And we will come back with another video in the future as we move along this car's evolution into both a show car and a car, our anvil that we can just beat on and not have to worry about. So again, if you enjoy this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to our channel. You'll get notifications, sign up for notifications so that you know about new videos. We do at least one new video a week, sometimes more. We're preparing a whole bunch in the background right now that I think you'll find pretty interesting when they drop. Yeah, tell your friends. It's fun stuff. Again, from Flyin Miata, my name is Keith Danner. Thanks for watching.